Welcome back to that game we were playing, and we were in the middle of an important conversation, but then we got tired, and we came back next week. Because, listen, last session had very long conversations.
It had like two. It was like two conversations, and it took us 2.5 hours.
It was kind of wild how long the scenes were going for. They're like revelatory moments in the big complicated plot that's happening, but I do kind of feel like they're written in a way that might be too long.
I thought it was way too long. I don't want to say anything, but it was
the pacing last episode felt
completely
weird.
Incongruent from the pacing of the rest of the story. Exactly.
Yeah. So mid-session we were like, I don't know if I can stop now or not, or if we can keep going, because you're just like, this conversation could be over in 30 seconds or 2 hours.
Definitely think it's going to be another. I think we're like halfway through this one.
It did feel like we were not close. Yeah. Let's go back a couple pages. Let's see. And you're Ian.
Okay. Yep. By that point, things had gotten scary bad. I was still in rehabilitation at the time, but I remember my mom asking me to never be out past 8. It seemed appropriate for the county to start bringing experts in. That was the first article. The second and last mention of that person in the media was a short excerpt in the middle of a longer opinion piece. The expert was missing, and the article's author presumed they were called back home.
I let out the breath I'd been holding in. That doesn't tell me anything.
That's the response you should have when somebody's that rude with you. Just, wow.
Oh.
About what?
Sad Martin. Weasel. I mean, it doesn't ring any bells. I don't know why I'd do anything given this information.
Oh. Well, thank you, Spencer. But there's more.
Go on.
No. Yeah, all right. Much later on, Jake, Todd's friend, ran into a series of forum posts that seemed relevant. It was in the general chatter section of the Hard Bend forums, which is a long-defunct metalhead magazine. The post's author was a user going by the name of GothVicer with a 0 instead of an O. You could... What? This is... put the 0 in GothVicer. That's a... Alright.
Well, it's because he can't say
Maybe it's an accessibility thing.
He can't...
God damn it, you're right.
He's speaking, so he has to say it.
Yeah.
I'm more at odds with why he would feel the need to specify more so than why he would say it that way if he is specifying.
Yeah, whatever. Jake tracked him down through the Institute's message boards, where he used to use the same name. His real name is Antonio Ruiz, and he never kept his name or that he's hiding from Rockland a secret online. One of those, what's the worst that could happen kind of folks, to give you some context. Antonio, or GothVicer, was a mortuary technician at Rockland County Memorial Hospital.
Fan Forstick.
And this guy, GothVicer, he loved nothing more than to complain to his little group of forum friends. If I remember right, he had like 7,000 posts. Jesus, that's a lot. That is very online. Most of which came from that same general chatter subforum.
Don't look at any of my forum accounts.
As you imagine, exactly the kind of guy my group wishes for in our wildest dreams. He spoke at length about how this out-of-state goody two-shoes doesn't know the first thing about morgues or corpses. We learned from him that the guy was an ICU doctor. Apparently, police detectives showed up one day with him in tow without prior warning. GothVicer never gets specific about what the ICU doctor wanted with them, But it does say that he had interviewed all the morgue's employees multiple times for multiple hours each time. This goes on for a couple days, but eventually it seems the doctor runs out of questions. Taking up space in the office while he's waiting for the feds to come pick him up. I believe was how GothVicer phrased it. Something to that effect. A few days later, he reports that the doctor had stopped coming in. Here's the thing, though. GothVicer doesn't simply state that the doctor is gone. Given his personality, one would expect him to go good riddance and never mention it again. But he does more than just that. He keeps mentioning it in passing over the next months and in almost accusatory way. Like small things. His favorite pen had gone missing from his shirt. He jokes that the doctor must have misplaced it weeks ago. Secretary was rude to him. The doctor must have spoken to her while he was there. When he inevitably gets fired because his mental well-being had gone down the drain, you bet, the doctor was to blame. We were enthralled to find the forum argument that ensued. That's how we knew we were on the right track. That's how it always goes. The calling card of our poltergeist. Something goes missing, and then someone goes insane. A couple of forum members have a falling out with GothVicer over Skype. Oh my god, get to the point, man. Jesus.
I said this last time, but it is so surreal seeing a fairly realistic depiction of how small phones were.
Yeah. We never found the logs for that, but thankfully they took it to the forum shortly thereafter. They're all incredibly rude to him in the moment, but I get the impression that they cared about GothVicer. They were trying to figure out what was wrong with him. Who was this damn doctor that he lost his mind over? GothVicer doesn't remember. And that's another common thread around people like him. It's the same as with the folks we interviewed ourselves. Everyone has a different trigger, a different thing that they obsess over, but when you ask them about it, it quickly becomes clear that they don't remember what it was.
Ian pinches at his screen to zoom in.
Just before getting banned for saying some racist crap out of nowhere, he gets into this huge argument that goes on for multiple pages. Pretty much everyone is convinced that the doctor is either an illusion or something that GothVicer made up. A bunch of his friends are begging him to go seek professional help. With his back against the wall, he finally tells everyone what he actually remembers. As we expect, it is almost nothing at all. But he spills it all out in one rambling post. We tried reaching out to him, but he doesn't answer emails. He doesn't seem to use the same online handle anymore, and even the phone number he registered to the Institute with now belongs to someone else.
What did the post say? He flips his phone screen side down on his thigh. He flips his phone screen side down, yeah.
Yeah. You can see where I'm coming from, though, right? This is some cool stuff. I was so excited to share it with you. And it isn't like... This GothVicer guy, he's just one of half a dozen other people I've shown you. Other online crazies just like him. How was I supposed to know that this one would be the one to make you lose your shit?
What did the post say?
Christ. See for yourself.
People are just posting cognito hazards. Then you obsess over it, then you die. Like Smile Dog.
Creepypasta. Forum creepypastas. Ah, perfect. Sorry it's in Scruncho vision. It's a screenshot off my PC.
Scruncho vision. I am not on dope. LMFAO, are you 13? The execs made everyone without a master's degree shit in a cup twice a year.
Piss. It's definitely piss.
How do you know? How do you know?
Because you don't shit in a cup to do a drug test for work.
All this fucking censoring for no reason. Stupid ass forums. I am cleaner than all you shitheads combined. Microwave with a 1. Everyone just has a 1 number in their name.
Because Microwave was taken by a user that signed up and never posted.
Yeah. Microwave, be a dear and actually read my previous post. Same as you, Gengar Guns.
I don't know what the fuck that's supposed to be.
I was like, at first I thought it was Ginger, and then I thought it was Gengar, and I'm like, neither of these are right.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Gengar Guns.
Yeah. Does it say anywhere that the doctor is talking to me? Didn't think so. What is not clicking? Why are none of you shitheads... He says, yeah, it has to be shitheads, right? Why are none of you shitheads believe something as simple as some sociopath showing up and deciding to ruin my whole fucking life?
It's all shit the time. Now, but the first one was definitely piss. I refuse to believe that he had to shit in a cup to pass a drug test.
It happens all the time. It could happen to you. Actually, it should happen to you.
Looks around my room for cups.
To teach you a lesson. Short guy, 40 or 50 years old, blue suit and a tie that are a bit too big, high voice, nasty bloodshot eyes. There, I'm describing him. Is that doing it for you? Do you believe me yet? I literally only spoke business with him, confidential stuff. I literally can't say what I was talking to him about if I ever want to find work again, LOL. I will say this, though. He was after someone. That was his #1 problem that he kept talking about over and over. Completely unrelated to anything he was asking about, but he was losing sleep over it. Almost feel sorry for him. Almost, Lamau. I overheard him talking about it with the detectives on the first day, before the interview started. He was after that man. No clue who that was. You know, guy who looks like a fucking mess, and it's because someone is in his dreams. And at work, you're supposed to be a nice guy. I asked him about it at the lounge. You know what he told me? The way he said it is like he rehearsed it 1,000 times. I'll never forget it until the day I die. He looked me dead in the eye and said, bloop, 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 bloop. 11:08 a.m. It's my worst and most frequent nightmare. That man has to be stopped.
Okay. Did you finish reading? Can I have my phone back? So, got any idea what that's all about? Spencer?
I'm not Spencer anymore.
I'm GothVicer. Where are you going? He's the only person who ever actually got possessed by not passing the forum post along to 10 other people. There isn't anything around for miles. Oh, God. Stop! You promised you wouldn't. I'll fucking run you over myself, you asshole. Oh, he's running away, so we can't hear. Okay. Spencer!
Bye. Naked running.
And I ran.
It's a
ran
callback.
So far away.
Or it was foreshadowing.
Mm.
Or something. We're back in space view. I'm not sure what he's reacting to.
I've been totally lost.
Yeah, for like the last hour or so.
Session so far.
It's not always totally clear what's supposed to be landing and what specific things are supposed to be a big deal.
I have no clue.
In part because the story's gotten really weird with the dimensional stuff compared to how clean it was when we actually knew almost nothing about the mystery and we're just dealing with the people reacting to it instead.
Yeah.
Which definitely was my favorite part.
Yeah. And I don't really understand, like, Ian's point of view on any of this, like, if it's accurate, if it's relevant, like, his whole Ghostbuster stuff, like...
Yeah.
I don't know what to look for in these conversations to, like, puzzle out the same stuff that Spencer is looking for. I'm lost.
Yeah, I'm also like, I'm not clear, like, did they skip over what Spencer read that was important, or was it just the line that he has to be stopped or whatever? Because that's so vague, I don't know how I'd react to it.
Yeah.
The man rang our doorbell 3 years ago, March 23rd, 2007, 8:53 p.m. He introduced himself as Nelson Fisher, born John Swain, a member of the Rockland Looking Glass Veteran Association. Despite the late hour and the lack of prior notice, we let him in. We offered him water. Where was Rockland? Did you say John Swain? That was the name of my grandfather on my dad's side. Any relation? This man, Fisher, my grandfather. Having entered the house, he spent barely any time at all before getting right into it. He knew us. He knew that Mom couldn't keep a job. He knew that I barely managed to graduate high school. He spoke about our pasts, our recent pasts, private details that no one besides us should be able to recall. We were shocked, naturally, but the man predicted our protests word for word and rejected them before they even left our lips. Speechless, we were forced to let him explain. There's a wondrous device down in Rockland, a natural phenomenon, entirely unique, harnessed by man. It was the mechanism behind his nigh divine ability to pull up the past and predict the future. There had once existed a large-scale project surrounding the device, its research and its utility. Hundreds of people ended up contributing to it, hundreds of others, like the man. Things, however, didn't last. The device had a great problem, and in the early 70s, the entire project had been permanently shut down. The longer Fisher's speech went on, the more passionate he became. He told us of the years following the project's closure, of administrative failure after administrative failure. The man was forced to change his identity. He cut ties with his wife and infant son, live a life of anonymity, all to protect the project's secrecy. It had great military tactical importance, after all. In return, he and every other person retiring from the project would receive a generous stipend that guaranteed never having to work a day for the rest of one's life. The Rockland Looking Glass Veteran Association was born. The man jeered the words out, called it a bribe from the government. A bribe that almost all his peers gladly took. And then, the man smiled and apologized, inexplicably said that he never got this far, that he won't bother us for much longer. He must catch the flight back home. Mom, ever the bravest, asked him, "What do we have to do with it?" The man replied that he's getting old, and he wishes to make up for lost time. His former peers have steadily been diminishing in numbers. They've all lived quiet, unimpactful lives of isolation until the day they died, exactly as the administration had arranged for all those years ago. He wasn't planning on anything grandiose, far from it. Association members weren't allowed to exit Rockland, he explained. He had to utilize the device privately just to speak to us. What he wanted was twofold and relatively simple. Fisher wanted to reconnect with his family, and more importantly, he wanted to pass down his knowledge of the Rockland Looking Glass. I remember it. That's quite enough, Mr. Fisher. Even if what you're saying is true, it's all so sudden. Please leave your number with us. When we reach a decision, we'll give you a call. What an insane proposition from an insane man. Leave our entire lives behind and move in with some stranger who done nothing but threaten us? Who in their right mind would agree to something like that? Oh, I remember it all right. We never called. It was him who called us. At first we brushed him off, made excuses as to why we can't speak tonight. But now isn't a good time quickly turned into I've only got half an hour. Many evenings, when I would pass by the living room, I would overhear them chatting away. As the conversations grew longer, despite listening in to only one side of the call, I managed to piece some things together. The man had secured a fraudulent position in the Rockland County Clerk's office and was re-establishing ties with old colleagues in the town college.
Can we pause for a second?
Yeah.
Okay. This is a lot. I just need a second to digest, like, catch back up to the plot.
Yeah.
And, like, here's more stuff. So, do you mind quickly, like, let's just, like, chat real quick and help me, like, kind of, like, catch up with the plot. Okay. So, currently, Spencer is remembering an encounter that he had with Fisher.
Yes.
Right? Okay. And Fisher was telling him at that time about, like, the Rockland Looking Glass experiment, but, like, in vague terms. He was telling him about the, just the project in general and stuff like that. But he didn't explain anything about David Swain? So, does that mean that they didn't talk about his dad? His dad had been dead at that point, because this was only 3 years ago. Okay. So the dad was dead when he came back, and he said Nelson Fisher. What did he say about David Swain again? When he showed up at their house?
I don't think he said it. I don't remember him saying anything about David Swain.
Okay.
Where's the history button? Where's the history button?
What?
There's no history. It's
gone. Did they hide it in this segment to be a dick?
I don't. There was one in this game, right?
Maybe in this segment they don't let you see the history button because they're trying to mess with you a little bit. I don't know. Okay, so he talked about all this stuff, and then he said, like, he wanted them to move in with him. So would that mean that they would cross over into the other world? Is that what he was implying?
I don't know if that's clear, because I don't know if they knew about that yet.
Okay. And
I'm thinking they might have forgotten all this because of the fact that people forget things between the two realities when he goes back and forth.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's like, it's somehow being reawakened in him now that he's maybe because he's also this weird unstuck person.
Okay.
That's making him.
Yeah, and so that's the phenomenon that Ian attributes to poltergeists, is like forgetting like these sorts of trigger things. And I guess something triggered Spencer, and this is him having his like space mind palace moment. Okay.
So I guess the forum thing does remind him of what's going on, and then he ends up each time confronting his grandpa over it, and last time it got him killed or something. I
think something like that, yeah.
There's enough left to
maybe his
implication
dad
that
got
that's a little hard to follow.
Yeah.
Well, I just mean because like the starting point of the story is that Spencer died, and it was right after Ian showed him that post. So he took off, and then that seemingly is when he got killed by his grandpa.
Okay.
And that's caused this Spencer to be who he is and being
separated. Okay. Okay.
Because the realities can't reconcile, because normally the two copies of people behave the same between the two worlds, but because the other Fisher is dead, when Fisher kills Spencer, that just leaves the other Spencer orphaned as another person that doesn't have a copy, and so now any actions they take aren't being mirrored in the other world, just like his.
Okay, yeah.
And that's why they keep resetting and snapping back.
Yeah. Yeah, so a side effect of that is that he's constantly forgetting, or he has like memories from the other world kind of like in his head at the same time. Okay. Okay. I'm probably missing a ton of stuff, but I feel like I've at least digested what has been presented so far.
It went from like a very approachable story for like 10 hours to being like primer, where you're like, hang on a minute.
This is a bit of a hammer of like, here's the story now. Like, I mean, not the story. There's been a ton of story, but it's like, here's the mystery dump truck. So I have to kind of keep up with it a little bit. Okay. Yeah, we can keep going.
The man had secured a fraudulent position at the Rockland County Clerk's office and was reestablishing ties with old colleagues in the town college. He never made attempts to hide his intentions. He wanted us in Rockland and made progress towards sweetening the deal. Over time, the now hour-long phone conversations grew heated. Even outside his boastful disregard of the law, the man had a strange outlook on society and on life. An outlook that became increasingly difficult to wave off as the ramblings of an out-of-touch retiree. I withdrew to my room. I couldn't stand the yelling. Why can't this felon take a hint? Why do you have to stick his nose into our lives? Then one day, the shouting had reached a boiling point. We received no more phone calls after that. A year later, Rockland was set ablaze. It was Mom who first discovered it. Fisher had presented himself as powerful and dangerous, and Mom hated being blindsided by people like him. He observed it in distant curiosity as week after week, a new strange occurrence would break local news. Despite the severity of the incidents, they would rarely reach the national level, and whenever they did, it was a comma. A statistical outlier on a marginally related graph.
Okay, so set ablaze as being metaphorical. It means like a bunch of shit is happening in the town?
Yeah, the weird wave of constant accidents and deaths and things happening, apparently.
Okay, got it.
I looked it up online. In some communities, Rockland had become a bit of a joke. A backwater murder county, where law enforcement is impotent and all officials are corrupt. Dread got the better of us. It couldn't be him, could it? On November 1st, 2007, over dinner, we decided that we should call, just in case. The daily shouting returned, stronger than ever. On the evening it got unbearable, I decided to peek out of my room. Dad sat in the living room, eyes wide, expressionless, looking through the turned-off TV. When he spoke, it's like he intended only for the walls to hear. The old man has gone insane, he said. He's erasing people off the face of the earth. I remember? Huh? Sorry you got dragged into it, Spencer. This is my fault. I'll take care of it. I promise. Are these all his dad?
I think these are his dad, yeah.
I'll find a way to sort it out. Before it was like, took you long enough or something like that as we transition back into the original world, or the one from the beginning of the story. No, that's wrong. That's not what happened. I remember. The hospital Dad worked at, St. Mary's, refused to go through with the procedure.
What procedure?
Kidneys aren't a
the
rare
organ
donation
donation that he... Yeah. Okay.
And it's not like the patient is in any critical condition. He should just wait his turn like everyone else. But Dad was adamant. He argued and yelled. He and the patient were a perfect match. He was in perfect health. The surgery was routine.
Oh, there must be something special about this person then. It must be somebody maybe tied to the Rockland Looking Glass thing.
In the end, we drove 30 miles to the South Memorial Hospital. It was the next best thing. A throng of people showed up to Dad's funeral. People whose lives he saved, childhood friends and colleagues, even a couple of people who he sometimes helped getting their meds refilled. He had so many kidneys. It was only then that I found out what happened. Mom had no idea how to explain it to a 10-year-old child. He didn't have to die, some of the attendees told me. It was his damn personality. Dad was always pulling stunts like that. It was only a matter of time until it caught up to him. One person even got on one knee to console me at eye level. The sentiment was similar to that of everyone else. What a waste. A couple of weeks later, the last person helping Mom out stopped showing up to our house. That is what I remember. I remember it clearly, but... Amy? Spencer? I'm flying down to Rockland tomorrow morning. I can't stand it any longer. I can't think. I can't focus on anything besides it. He's the reason I can't sleep. I don't care anymore if what he claims is true, that he really is my long-lost father.
So it's the dad, yep.
What he's doing to that town. It has become my worst and most frequent nightmare.
Wait, who said that? Was that the GothVicer post?
It's the person that GothVicer talked to.
Yeah, okay.
So he freaks out because he quotes his dad.
Right.
That's why Spencer freaks out when he sees the post.
That
man has to be stopped. Okay, so now we have context for that, finally. I was like, what did this post mean? What throws me is... Those are all recent events, right?
3 years ago? No. Yeah, 3 years ago was when Fisher met Spencer's mom and Spencer, but his dad was already dead at that time. Okay.
But then Spencer also remembers his dad staring through the TV, seemingly in response to the phone arguments a year after that, so 2 years ago. But he's 19 and his dad died when he was 10. Right?
There's something I'm missing. I don't know. Maybe...
His dad's been dead for like a decade, right?
Right, and then they said September 2007 was when GothVicer made the post, or was that September... Or was that November 2011?
The 2007 was the beginning of this scene, so 2007 was the beginning of the... of Fisher showing up.
Of this conversation. Okay.
And this scene featured his dad staring through the TV. And he was specifically reacting to the stuff that about the grandpa, which only happened a few years ago, and that's how Ian's brother died. So it couldn't have been a decade ago because Ian wouldn't have been driving.
Either it's very unclear, or I think that maybe the timeline's a little bit fudged.
Well, I think it's not even a little, it's hugely off. It's got to be the two different worlds, right? Like there's two different worlds, one with and without Spencer's dad.
True, the events could be like happening in the wrong times between the two worlds. Okay. Yeah.
It's like in one of them, his dad might be alive.
I'm not sure about that. I think in both of them, the dad is dead. Unless that's going to be a massive reveal at some point, but...
If he's not dead, it's got to be like a massive disparity. Like, he wouldn't have died of the same kidney surgery for the same person, because it would be a different time entirely. Also, this is a reveal, like... This is the visuals used for a reveal, and he's running off because of a reveal he had. Like because he read his dad being quoted in a forum post only a few years ago, and that's why he's freaking out. I think that's why this is supposed to be a big deal, and why there's like something really fucky going on. That's funny. It's like rain. No, that can't be right, can it? I was 10 when Dad died.
Okay,
so.
well, there you go.
I'm smart. I did it.
Yeah.
Either 10 or 11. 1998 for sure. Wow, he died before the Phantom Menace.
Oh.
That's my point of reference, apparently. I remember... Was it spring? The leaves, they were... July? No, that wouldn't make sense. When did Dad die?
Does he not remember?
I remember it. It was so cold when they told me. Late evening. No. The lights were... Say, when did Dad die? Hey, snap out of it. Just say it. No one could forget something so important. When did it happen? Come on. Ballpark estimate. First thing that comes to mind. Just recall it really quick. When was it? When did Dad die?